Men, can you explain the taboo when it comes to women's sexual partners? I think the difference comes from difficulty. One thing we can agree on is if an average-looking man goes to a bar and walks up to 10 single women and says, "Hi, my name is Moogle. Do you want to have sex?" Chances are he'll either be kicked out, looked at weird, or straight up ignored 910 times. Maybe one person will entertain it, but not intend to do anything unless she was already planning on having sex with a random guy. As an average-looking woman, if you walk into a bar and approach 10 single men if they want to have sex, I would be surprised if that woman left with less than 2 numbers. Reiterating that it is so much easier with less effort for a heterosexual woman to find a sexual partner. You don't need makeup, you don't need to dress up, you barely need to talk, and you definitely don't need to take someone on a date to get someone that you don't know to have sex with you. That, in my opinion, is why for some people there are different standards. It's the exclusivity, or social norm, that most men will fuck anything, and most women won't fuck you until you are something to them. Forgive my crassness. Personally, it only matters to me that the woman is clean and isn't hung up on past partners and is honest if anybody else is currently in the picture. Most men who sleep with multiple women are not considered anything positive outside of internet memes. Most men don't have easy access and aren't desired by women. It's an accomplishment for men to be wanted by lots of women. But the other way around isn't true, because women are wanted by all men. The basic is that it's difficult for men and easy for women to get high numbers. Also, we want to feel special. I would not say men are praised for many partners, that's maybe when you were young. What's interesting is that you're looking at both perspectives from a male perspective. What if you look at it from a female? Are women looking at men with a large body count saying, "What a legend"? Likely not. Do women call other women sluts that also have large body counts? Yes. We as men don't always celebrate the guy that can get every woman to sleep with him. One guy who found it easy to pull woman once confronted my friend asking, "How many women have you slept with?" as though it's a measure of his success, and my friend replied with, "How many women have you got to stay?" It was a high number. We chose our friends based on taus that respected both themselves and others, not based on how many women they could sleep with. So we don't consider this type of person to be a legend. The reason why we don't look for women with high body counts is usually because we don't want a woman that is so flaky, moving from one guy to another and not making any effort to maintain a meaningful relationship. Then the women that go for these kinds of guys usually go in wanting to be that special one that changes him, that he picked them over anyone else he could have, and get hurt when he doesn't. Much harder for men to get laid than women. That's the thinking. There may be a shift going on. My Gen Z sons 22, 25 have always mocked and looked down upon their male friends who slept around a lot, using terms like whore, slut, etc. against them, particularly those that they've perceived as manipulating and using girls. Now, I will concede that this is my personal, anecdotal experience. Both my boys are what a good friend of mine has labeled serial monogamists. They've both been with their girlfriends for over 5 years, and the oldest one is getting married in 2 weeks. I've always heard it as it's easy for women to have sex, hence why people don't respect it. For men, it's generally difficult, hence why people respect it. I feel exactly the same way about men who sleep around as I do about women who sleep around. In my experience, there is no double standard. Both sexes are viewed negatively for this behavior. But to answer your question about women, specifically, if I'm dating a woman, I want our values to be the same. Like it or not, your sexual choices reflect something about your value system. A woman who has had only a few more partners than I've had might still have the same values I have. But at a certain number of previous partners, that can no longer be true, and you'll need some countervailing evidence to believe that our values are the same. I find that some people have had a lot of one-night stands and inexplicable sexual promiscuity for basically no reason at all. They can't explain why they did it, and they get upset if they have to reflect on their past decisions. Some people seem to think that their sexual decision-making cannot be questioned at all, not even by themselves, and that it is completely divorced from their value system or their personal identities. These people are wrong. I cannot explain the difference because I see both as bad. One of my male friends has slept with a lot of women. Our entire friend group views him as a man whore, and we even tell him that. We don't judge in the same way, but we also don't see him as admirable. Most women only have to go on a night out and say yes if someone takes their fancy. So my thinking is, a woman who has said yes 200,300 times and has all those experiences, good and bad, is more likely to say yes again on nights out and chance encounters over the course of a lifelong relationship marriage. I'm not saying I'm right, but if I was in the dating arena and the woman sitting across from me had a ridiculously high body count, that's what I'd think. Me, a woman. 25 heterosexual cisgender man here. Bullshit. The guy who brags about all his hoes is annoying and gets isolated. Most guys want stable relationships. This trope is old. No double standards, we are just different. An average man finds an average woman attractive, but the reverse is not true. An average woman do not find an average man attractive. All those date app statistics confirm it. So a man who has a lot of success with women either won genetic lottery or work hard at their social skills. A woman who has lots of attention from men needs to shower every day and look available. Majority of men neither sleep around as much as you think nor they admire studs to the extent you think they do. I'm not saying I agree with this, but I think there are historical and psychology reasons that could explain this to a degree. 1. Paternal uncertainty. Historically, I think this was likely a factor. A woman clearly knows a child is hers, while a man does not, without modern paternity tests. 2. Perceived value. Like others have said, it's viewed that men are the ones who pursue and women choose. If a woman is very selective, her value seems higher than if she accepts anything. Yes, this should also apply to men, but women are more accepting of it. However, I do think women historically had to be a lot more selective due to the difficulties of pregnancy and raising children in the past. A man could just up and leave. 3. Relationship instability. While there's no real evidence for this, I think people can make the leap and think that if someone is hypersexual, they may be more likely to cheat. Yes, this should also apply to men, but women are more accepting of it. 4. Insecurity. Yes, this is definitely a factor. But I don't think it's that simple. Both men and women can be insecure, but this issue is specifically gendered. On Reddit, men that sleep around are condemned by women and defended by other men. Women that sleep around are condemned by men and defended by other women. My opinion, perhaps people, men or women, don't want to be with someone who will use sex to validate an insecurity or may be likely to cheat on them. These people may be looking at someone's body count to identify those who fall into those two categories, even if it may not accurately identify the odds someone is crazy or will cheat on them. Personally, the only instance where I cared about who a woman slept with was if they were in the same social circle I was in. I didn't want to date or marry a woman that had sex with everyone I knew because I didn't want my friends saying ignorant shit to me about my girlfriend wife. If I met someone outside of my circle that slept with 100 dudes before me that I'm not friends with, cool, that's not an issue for me. I just never wanted to be in a situation that could potentially threaten the relationships that are important to me, be they friendships or romantic interests. 1. It is evolutionarily costly for women to get pregnant and profitable for men to impregnate. 2. Where I came from, playboy used to be a signaling term. Most people meant it as someone who plays with girls' feelings, womanizer, emotional conman, man of lesser character. Personally, I think women and men should be discreet regarding the details of their sexual history. Get yourself checked medically regularly, use condoms if not in a long-term monogamous relationship, and everyone needs to keep their damn mouths shut. Just my opinion. I grew up in the 70s and early 80s. I have been married, very happily, for 30 years. My spouse and I have never discussed our prior sexual experiences. I know this isn't a popular opinion,